Hello and welcome to day 2 of Mental Health Awareness Week. This year, for Mental Health Awareness Week, the focus is on anxiety, and this week is Mental Health Awareness Week. And here at Wounds to Scars, I'm covering 4 days from the 15th to the 18th of May here on our YouTube channel. I'll be here live every day. If this is your first time watching one of our broadcasts, my name is Joanna Daniel. I'm a counselor and I live in the UK. And I'm founder of Wounds to Scars, where we work with adult survivors of childhood trauma and women who experienced abuse. And we know that those are underlying factors sometimes for anxiety and for other mental health issues. And so today I'm talking about 3 strategies that you can use to manage overwhelm. What are those 3 strategies that you can use to manage overwhelm? So number 1 is knowing the root of overwhelm. What is the thing that caused overwhelm? What is the thing what is the reason for overwhelm? What's the thing that's caused it? And it's important to know what your stresses are. What are the things that what stresses you? What are the things that stresses you? Really important to know that. Because if we don't know the thing that stresses us, we wouldn't know what caused the overwhelm. So it's almost like managing it is going back to the beginning. What are my stresses? Is it parenting? Is it the marriage? Is it finances? Is it debt? Is it trauma? What kind of trauma? Is it my triggers? Is it work? Is it the community, family of origin issues? What are those things that stresses me? When you can identify the things that stresses you, then you can make some decision around how you engage with those stresses. Because sometimes we feel like we can tackle the whole mountain all at once. We can't tackle the whole mountain all at once, but what we can do is take it one small step at a time. And as we take it one small step at a time, it helps us. And that's what we want. We want to do one small step at a time so that we can manage. So first thing is understand and know the things that causes overwhelm for you. And number 2 is disrupt the language around stress. Disrupt the language around stress. Because we're in this culture where everybody's busy, and being busy is almost like a badge of honor. If I'm busy, then I'm doing something good. I'm doing something right. Then I am in the in crowd, and we can talk about how busy we are, and we can all just share how busy we are. And that is a toxic kind of culture, and it's very harmful to our minds and to our bodies. And so there are times when we develop mental health problems like anxiety and depression through just falling into that kind of system and culture. It really impacts us, and it takes a long time for us to get well, if indeed sometimes we get well. Sometimes, there are people who are living on medication because of the stress, and people are not aware that we can take things off our plate, so to speak. So if you consider your life as a pie, how many slices are exercise? How many slices are therapy? How many slices are social engagement and contact? How many are just sitting on a hill, going for a walk, walking by a stream, having a late morning, going away for a weekend? How many are just relaxing and laughter and fun and joy, gardening regularly? Now that spring is here, how many are just, how many glasses of water do I need, and good nutrition, and really planning for you and to take care of you. And sometimes I'm a mom, I'm a busy mom, I work, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I serve, I'm a servant, I love serving. But those are things that I can only do if I am okay. And all the things that you're doing, you can only do it when you are okay. So if you understand the things that stresses you and look at the language, am I falling into the conversation around overwhelm that makes me feel wanted and makes me feel special and makes me feel and gives me um, clout or status? Because sometimes we have to address the fact that I get some kind of pride from being busy, I get status from being busy, and I like that. And sometimes that might be a hard thing to face. Sometimes it's learned behavior, sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's from your families of origin, how you see them manage. Sometimes the message is, my mother managed, there are other women managing, how come I can't manage? And you are you, your body, your mind, the society that you live in, the culture that we're in now, the environment that you're in, probably completely different from the one that your mother was raised in and lives in now. And even not the culture, but the time. We're living in such a different time where we have lots of things that helps us to for life to be easier, but we're still more stressed. So we have washing machine and dryers and dishwashers and all of those kind of conveniences, but we're still stressed. We're more stressed than our parents were because our lives are so different. And so it's important to understand what the language is around that. What are my friends talking about? Are they talking about leisure and relaxation and exercise? Or are they talking about how stressed they are and how much that gives value? Do you get value? Do you receive value from your stresses? And so I suppose the things I'm sharing about managing overwhelm is really challenging you to think differently about your life and think differently about the things that you're doing and how you're feeling about the things that you're doing. And while you're thinking differently, connect with your body. I can tell when I'm tired and it's time for me to stop. But I didn't always used to be able to stop. I could tell, but I didn't always stop. I used to push myself to such extent. I would say to my sister that sometimes it felt like all the cells in my body was tired. I wasn't trying to fit into a narrative that time, but I had so much to do. And I'm a person, when I make a long list of things to do, I feel like I need to complete the whole list. Otherwise, I don't feel fulfilled. And I didn't know what that was about. But when I started to become ill and I had to take a step back in 2018 and having to start to be attuned with my body and listen to it and give it, stopping when it says stop. And my whole life changed because now I had to challenge so many assumptions and language around what a good mother is or a good wife is or how the home should be or what we should eat and when. I had to challenge all of that and really turn it on its head, and it looks completely different for my family. But that wasn't an easy thing to do. I had to challenge, and I didn't know that I was literally working against DNA. So I had a conversation with my mom last 2 weeks ago, and my mother and my auntie has always said, "Don't work too hard, don't work too hard." And I always wonder, why do they say that to me? And I don't know if they say to any of my other siblings, "Don't work too hard." And I always say, I'm trying not to work so hard. And my mom said something to me that really helps me understand me. And I'm really glad that I started making the choices years ago. She said, I used to work so hard. I'd be at work and I'd be worried about you guys. And I just want to get back home to you. And I'd work so hard. I wouldn't stop. I wouldn't have lunch. Sometimes I wouldn't let myself go to the restroom when I needed it because I just wanted to complete work because I wanted to get back home to you. And she said, I did that and now I'm ill. My mother is only 77 and she's ill. And she's recognizing that part of that was stress. And so it doesn't just affect in this mental health awareness week. I want you to know that the mind and the body is really closely connected. When one is hurt, the other sympathizes. And so it's not just a mental health issue that we're trying to help you to focus on the language and challenge it so you can prevent. It's a preventative video. I also want to help you to not put stress on your body where your body breaks down and become ill. Okay, we're doing it holistically. So that disrupts the language around stress, what you hear your culture talks about, your family talks about, what is recognizable and okay in your religion, in your circles that you're in. That needs to be challenged because we're looking at how can we help you to become well and stay well. And then there is number 3 is therapy. And again, you might need to challenge a lot of things, but that is going to be in a really good way in helping you to manage overwhelm. Because when you go see a counselor therapist, what they will do is to listen to you and they'll help you hear things that you couldn't hear yourself. Like the conversation I just shared that I had with my mom. Maybe if I had taken stress to therapy, they'd be able to hear it before. I have friends that I can call and said, can you help me process this? Do you have time to help me process this? and is able to process it effectively and well and come back with outcomes. But you might need a therapist, a counselor to sit with, to hear your story and to help you to put some things in place to not be so overwhelmed. Because what we don't want to do, if you think about yourself as this glass, when we're overwhelmed, it's full, right? And it's overflowing, not with goodness, but it's overflowing with stress hormones. And that is very damaging to our nervous system, to our mental health, and to our physical health. What we want is not the glass full. We don't want it to ever get to the place where it's overflowing. If we think about this as our lives, we want to have coping strategies, and this helps us to manage overwhelm. We want to have coping strategies like exercise and therapy and rest and good nutrition and enough water. We want to have prayer and Bible study and all of those good, wonderful coping strategies. We want to have them as part of our lives. That is also when things are flowed in, like life is flowing in, the stresses that come with work and just life at the moment. The world is crazy and upside down, and there's a lot that is coming at us constantly. But when we have good coping strategies, like I've just listed, like therapy or coaching or stress management techniques, exercise and prayer and rest and good nutrition and water and trust in God, when we have those, then the glass will never get to the place where we're struggling. Here's another thing that is an impact of overwhelm and stress. As I talk about DNA, that learned behavior, things that are coming down through the generations. And so it's really important for you to know, am I overwhelmed? Do I get to the place where I feel overwhelmed? Do I push myself to these limits? And how can I implement preventative strategies now so I never get to that place where I'm absolutely overwhelmed, where I'm shattered all the time, where my mental health, I'm not stable, where I have brain fog and I can't think. And why do I do it? Because it's really important to know the why. When we know the why, sometimes it gives us the answers that we need in order to fix it. So that's all I'm going to share for today. Join me tomorrow as I'm going to be here at 1 p.m. as we talk some more about some of the strategies to manage our mental health as we're in this Mental Health Awareness Week. Remember, we're doing preventative strategies, but these are also effective strategies to use if you are in that place where you're challenged and struggling with mental health, or any of your family members are struggling with mental health. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet subscribed, and I'd really appreciate it if you share this video with those who you know might benefit from this information. Thank you. Have a great day.